When I look back on it retrospectively, actually my creative life does distinctly fall into 3 chapters. The first one being the tours with Dave Stewart and Pete Coombs, and then Eurythmics coming out of that. And then in 1990 I started to, follow that journey about becoming a solo artist, an individual artist, and so I feel now that I've got that bulk of work behind me. If I can't have you, it's like people have grown up with me, at the same time that I've been having my creative life. People have been, married or divorced or doing whatever we all do. So for them it's also a mark of time. It's been tremendous fun to put the Annie Lennox collection together, and I'm having a lot of fun actually kind of signing off with it. For me to have a kind of retrospective and just take the time to look at what I've done in the past, and visually as well as musically, it's like a really beautifully wrapped gift that I can say, this is the best of what I've done. This is really essentially what I'm all about. All the concerts that I've ever done since Eurythmic days have always been, jam-packed full of really powerful songs that everybody knew and liked and was expecting to hear. But having said that, each time I come to rehearse with a band, I try to sort of have a different inflection and a fresh way of looking at it. Right now it's wonderful because we have the use of the BBC strings. Very happy, they really complement the band. When a bunch of strangers come into the room that I haven't worked with before, and in this case there are 22 people that I haven't met, well, that's not including the conductor, it could be intimidating. But to be honest with you, I've worked with people so often now in these circumstances, and I just relax. So I just think, I know these songs are really strong, and I know that this is going to work, and I love my band, and I love the frictional texture between the band that is raw and this kind of very formal sound of strings. And I think it really works very, very well. And I think also that it enhances our songs so that they become very visual, even more visual than they are with the band. So it's just lovely. I'm very grateful for the opportunity. Come to be wrong to me, do and be done with me. Cold, cold, cold. Don't I exist for you? I do think that to a certain degree I'm comfortable because I've sat in orchestras, played in chamber ensembles, and I've worked with conductors, and I kind of get it, But at the same time, I feel that I was liberated because I sort of rejected that formal training and I took a wholly different path, which was to do with my sound as a singer, my stylistic presentation, which is really free, because I vary between all kinds of inflections. I'll go between something that is like R&B to soul to deep blues, delta blues, some kind of almost bluesy jazz colours as well. I mean, it's all kinds of, even sort of sometimes now I put in a sort of operatic inflection. So the whole thing is very much the way I sound as a performer. And I love that because it really use the voice with all its colours that I have in my own individual voice to keep the thing really interesting. Each time I come into a phrase, I challenge myself to kind of enter it differently or give it a little twist. And in that way, it stays fresh for me, it stays raw, and I like it raw, as well as being very sophisticated as well. Catch me and let me dive on. Music is vibrational, so that essentially that's what you're doing. You're working with your body, you're sending out these melodic lines and these different kind of textures and inflections. And it's quite magical experience. I still love singing and I'm still intrigued by it. I know that for years I always projected supreme confidence, but actually I was quaking inside. I had a lot of adrenaline and a lot of anxiety, and sometimes even when I was younger, I would almost be on the verge of a panic attack on stage. I know a lot of actors get that feeling, and it's just really horrible because it really limits your enjoyment of the moment. And I just made a decision to myself. It's really funny because I've been saying this recently. If only I'd learned to do this when I was younger. I finally come to the point after all these years of singing when I just go, you know what? I'm just going to go for it, and I'm just not going to get scared. And it's interesting because when you go for that with the calmness, this newfound calmness that I have, it works. It just works.
Here comes the rain again, falling on my head like a memory, falling on my head like a new emotion.
You see, a stage and a performance gives you permission to become all sorts of things that you maybe aren't normally in normal waking life, you know, walking down the street, going to the shops. So, I mean, when I step on a stage, I give myself this allowance to just become something else. It's another entity, really. I think sometimes when women are performing on stage, you know, they need to take their strength. And so, you know, when I was working with Dave, there were two of us. He was a man, I was a woman, but I kind of wanted to be seen as his equal. And we were very inspired by the artists Gilbert and George, and we loved that sense of unity that they both had. It was like they were a little bit joined by mind and hip. And we loved that they were wearing suits and they were totally involved in their art. So I just wanted to be like Dave's twin in a way, and I did want to sort of make people take another look, because I was exploring what my own sense of self was, my own sense of empowerment, and now I don't need to wear a man's suit to feel strong and to feel that, you know, you better not mess with me. It's different. It just evolved, you know.
Well, there was a time when they used to say that behind every great man there had to be a great woman.
It's very nice to get approval. It's very nice to get patted on the back. But this is the deal. When you are a musician, a creative artist, and you're putting your work out into the general public, some of them are going to love you, and some of them are going to absolutely despise you.
We say sisters are doing it for themselves.
You're always walking that fine tightrope between the two extreme sides. And if you want to be loved so desperately, you know, and they do love you, you'll be like, oh, thank you, thank you, thank you, you know, you're seeking approval. And then you'll read the stuff that they say that they hate you, they think you're absolutely rubbish. And you'll just be like, oh my God, how can anybody hate me? I'll have to go in my room for a week and cry about it. There's no point. I love to be approved. Everybody loves and needs approval and seeks it. But if I just want it so badly, then I always fall foul of it, because just as quickly I'll get a knife stabbed in my back. So I have to like what I do. And if other people like it or they don't like it, that's fine. Fine by me, whatever.